Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and today I'm going to cover just a few real quick things. Before we get going, though, if you would please delicately tap that like button, but don't smash that thing, because if you break it, unless you've got insurance on that thing, it's going to be a costly repair, so just delicately tap that thing, and please consider subscribing if you don't hate everything that's coming out of my mouth. So earlier today, I was running a few errands, taking my dog to the pet shop to get a product, a little dried dog food canister, and I was listening to some digital asset advisor along the way, one of my very favorite XRP YouTubers, and he covered this. So this tweet, it's something that at XRP Boy put out that digital asset investor ended up covering, but I wanted to chime in on this because David Schwartz responded, and he said something that adds validation to something that I've been saying to you guys as of late. So here's what happened in the first place. David Schwartz, one of the original architects of the XRP ledger, on March 3rd of last year, 2018, he tweeted out, and this is a whole thread, this would actually be a fun read, so I think I'll actually link this in case you guys want to scroll up and check it out on Twitter for yourselves. But the last thing that he wrote in this portion of the thread, March of last year, was, "That said, in the interest of full disclosure, I do consider this possibility, that Bitcoin's greater liquidity, value, and developer support will lead to it dominating settlement accidentally, in quotation marks, to be one of the biggest threats to Ripple's XRP strategy." And then here we have at XRP Boy 23 hours ago. He responded, "Do you still feel this way today at Joel Katz," which is David Schwartz. And then he tagged Bob Way, a former Ripple employee, and Galgatron, one of my personal favorites. And then he wrote, "Thoughts?" ? "I see where he's coming from, but at the same time, my vision is sort of blurry, so I'm having a hard time really seeing it, lol." And I think when I remember reading this a year ago when David initially posted this, and my thought was, hey, it's fair to just be aware of any potential outcomes. You know, if you went to college, you might be aware of SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. You know, maybe you're one of those guys. And so just being aware of it, even if it's however unlikely it would be that BTC could do this, take over the way that XRP's being positioned by Ripple anyway, however unlikely, could it happen? Maybe. Who knows? We don't have crystal balls here. So to me, it always seemed like David was acknowledging something, and I always thought that it just seemed unlikely, and I kind of assumed that he probably thought along the same lines, and now we've got an update on that about 14 months later. So here's David's response the other day. And he wrote, and again, so this is just XRP Boy asking for an update on how David feels about Bitcoin accidentally becoming the liquidity provider for cross-border payments, essentially. And David Schwartz wrote, "I do," as in he does still think that's a threat, but here's the rest of his tweet. "I think that's a bit less of a threat now than it was because Bitcoin is moving in a more retail direction. I suspect that is a strategic error, like trying to build YouTube in 1985. Firmly agree with that. I absolutely firmly agree with that. And one of the things that I've been saying in recent videos, and it's the reason that I wanted to touch on this, because it made me feel all tingly and warm inside, because I was like, okay, I'm right, and David Schwartz kind of agrees, I think, if I'm reading this right. But I had been saying lately that Bitcoin's primary purpose, its initial purpose, as written in the white paper by Satoshi Nakamoto, was Bitcoin is to be used as a peer-to-peer cryptocurrency. And I have opined that while that may happen down the road, if there's enough friction in certain locations, and as technology progresses and there's more custody solutions, I could see over a span of, maybe it would take decades, I don't know how long, it could be a very long time, but I said that use case could actually evolve and be a real thing. And it could be with Bitcoin, or it could be with something else, but yes, it could happen. And what I had said is there are other use cases for cryptocurrencies, as we well know. XRP, historically has not been positioned, certainly not by Ripple, not been positioned to be used as a peer-to-peer cryptocurrency, even though technologically, of course, it could, and it could do it in a superior fashion to Bitcoin because it's better technology. But again, not being positioned like that. I've said this many times. And so I think it's easier for the XRP to be utilized, actually adopted in real terms, first as in the way perhaps that Ripple's positioning it as a mechanism for settlement of cross-border payments, and with what Coil's doing as well. Streaming payments in real time. Because these are things that, first of all, they don't even require retail adoption. This can be done behind the scenes. You get market makers working, in the environment that Ripple envisions. Those are just businessmen, and if they see that there's an opportunity for profit, they'll just do it, and then the retail users get the positive end result. And so I always thought, okay, peer-to-peer cryptocurrency might see that use case come to fruition. I suspect we will in some capacity. Maybe it'll be widestream. If somebody's listening to this like 40 years from now, they'll be like, yep, that's pretty much all everyone's doing. Okay, maybe. I don't know. That's quite possible. But I think that other use cases are going to be adopted first. And what I always thought was kind of interesting is that although the first use case ever come up with for a cryptocurrency was to be used for peer-to-peer transactions, straight peer-to-peer, although it's the first, I think it's interesting that it may end up being the last use case adopted, or one of the last. There's going to be a whole lot more low-hanging fruit in terms of utility that you can use if in terms of the crypto asset class. There's a lot more to go after than just straight for that peer-to-peer Bitcoin use case right there. So I thought that was a funny thought, but yeah, it was cool to read David saying it's like putting the cart before the horse. Because again, he wrote, "I suspect that it is a strategic error, like trying to build YouTube in 1985. They're doing it too soon," and that was my whole point to you guys. And so it sounds pretty much the same thing as what David said here. So I thought that was some cool stuff. So anyway. And another pro tip, guys, by the way, you know what I do seriously? Because I don't know about you guys, I happen to do a lot of driving, and it's a waste of time, and I finally realized, like, inside of the last couple of years or so, I quit listening to the radio. All I do is stream content on YouTube. That's pretty much it, seriously. And it's mostly crypto stuff. And then when I run out of my daily crypto fix, then I'll listen to a TED Talk or something. So anyway, if you haven't thought about doing that, just like if you're tired of the radio and all the ads that are associated with it, just hop on YouTube and listen to a bunch of crypto people. If you've got some downtime. Just my 2 cents. I thought I'd share it with you because that's what I do in my daily life anyway. Now check this out. This is Hodor's most recent blog. Good read here. There's one piece in particular that I wanted to cover down here, so let me just scroll down. It has to do with Kava, which I have talked about, once or twice in the past. I haven't covered them too tremendously, but there's a new piece here that I actually, it only happened a couple days ago, but I had missed this one, so thank you, Hodor, for covering this in your blog today. Kava News, and here's just a few sentences I want to read for you here. While we all knew that Kava was expanding scaling technology for digital assets, it was not clear what their next major accomplishment would entail. But on May 23rd, the company made an announcement about a new service they're offering whereby users can access liquidity to swap crypto from one crypto account to another. And here's the tweet. He did a little screen grab of it. And it's Kava Labs here, at Kava_Labs. Introducing Switch, lightning-fast, non-custodial crypto trading for BTC, ETH, and XRP. And that's pretty cool stuff. Because Kava's whole thing, and I'm not going to rehash the video that I'd previously done, but they're basically looking for primarily enterprise solutions for businesses, of course, that is enterprise solution, that utilize the Interledger protocol. And so that's what they're doing here. But just in general. And moving on here, it says the service is called Switch, and Kava is describing it as non-custodial since users do not send them the actual cryptocurrency. The entire platform is simply a way to use Interledger to stream payments from one crypto network to another. And as I learn more, I'm going to share more with you. And it was funny, actually. I'll read this. There's like two more sentences here because it does get increasingly complex. So check this out. Hodor wrote, the tweet led to a blog where they attempt to keep the complexity orderly, if not high level, and then link the reader to successively more challenging technical topics that describe the blockchain technology they're using to make their service work. So, okay, daunting. So, at some point I will look into that. And again, as I learn stuff, I like to share with you. And anything you learn also, please share with me. We're all part of the XRP community, and I'm continually learning as well. So, always love hearing from you guys in the comments below. Last little piece, this is just a fun little thing. I saw this tweet, and it was from Warren Paul Anderson. He is a Ripple employee, and here's a picture of him sitting across the table from David Schwartz, CTO at Ripple. And Warren Paul Anderson's tweet states, "One of my favorite things at Ripple are the casual conversations, especially with at Joel Katz." And then he wrote hashtag caption this. And so, you know what? I usually don't leave links to the tweets that I covered, usually more so just articles. Today I will, though, in case you guys want to scroll through them, because there are actually some funny comments for captioning this. There's only one that I want to cover here that kind of made me chuckle, and because Warren Paul Anderson responded to it. Where is it? It's down here. Yeah, here it is. This guy, Frank Lyons, his caption this was, "We need bigger tables in here. I can barely get my legs under this thing." And then Warren Paul Anderson responded, "The struggle is real." And you can see, I'll scroll back up, that is a small table. Get a bigger table, Ripple. Come on. Anyway, so that's all I got for you. But yeah, I would absolutely love to hear from below if you've got any thoughts on anything that I talked about today. Or anything. I don't care. Tell me what you ate for breakfast. I don't care. I'm happy to talk to you guys. But I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea.